New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I serve as the Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I'm the author of a number of books on prosperity, including The Soul of Prosperity, as well as Prosperity from A to Z, Forgive Your Way to Prosperity, Create a Self-Manifesting Vision Board, and 30 P's for Prosperity. So on tonight's show, we often look at an aspect of prosperity, knowing that prosperity has many aspects to it. One night we may look at physical prosperity. That includes a body that operates optimally for our soul's purpose, or a life that logistically works easily and effortlessly. We may look at relationship prosperity, where our relationships are harmonious and supportive and positive because we've developed inner harmony, self-support, and an inner love that shows up in our outer relationships. We may look at professional prosperity, where, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, we have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where we provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. Or, of course, we may look at a prosperity of support, including financial support and support in every other way that makes our life more joyful, more fulfilling, and more peaceful. And finally, of course, it all begins with spiritual prosperity, where we find the peace that passes all understanding. So in addition to all of the different dimensions of prosperity that we may look at either a way to enhance our existing prosperity, or a way to remove a barrier to the prosperity that already exists. So tonight, we're going to look at prosperity from an interesting perspective. We're going to look at mastering your way to prosperity. And I'll repeat that. Mastering your way to prosperity. And you may ask, what is mastering your way to prosperity? You're about to find out. So we're going to have a discussion here, and my producer, Reverend Michael Mangus, is going to come on, and he's going to play Angel's Advocate. He has some questions that are likely questions that you have about how we can master our way to prosperity. Welcome, Reverend Michael.
Thank you. You mean not devil's advocate?
Angel's Advocate.
Oh, Angel advocate. Okay. Well,
Yes.
yes. Well, thank you for having me on again. I really appreciate it. Hello to everyone. I just want to say, if you have a question for Reverend Jim this evening, now is the time to start getting your questions in the comments. We take as many as we can here. So this is a conversation among all of us here. So one of the questions that come up, at least for me, define from the Course in Miracles, what is the ego?
The ego, I'll define the ego. The ego is the amalgamation of all the thoughts, experiences, and ideas of that we might have as an individual. It may include thoughts about our race, our gender, our economic background, our geographic background, and our human experiences. All of the things that we think define us as a human, but that actually confine us as a human, could be considered aspects of our ego.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, the Course in Miracles calls it the false ego, because the Course in Miracles tells us that's not who you are really. That's the character you're playing in this moment, but that's not who you are. So they call it the false ego.
So is there the lack of better terms, a true ego?
Yes, there is a true ego that is counter to, much larger than, and more powerful than the false ego. The true ego, A Course in Miracles teaches us, is our eternal self, also known as our soul. And there are a number of differences between the false ego and our true or highest self. One, of course, is our false ego, confined to the body, limited to the body, limited to the body's visions and its experiences and what it believes the possibilities to be. But our higher self is now and has always been connected with Source. It has never felt separated. It has never felt less than. It has never felt limited by those human experiences.
Right.
And that higher self, or that, as the logo said in the ad tonight, that super self is who we really are. I'm not going to do it because I like this.
Yeah,
as
I
we
know.
rip off our jacket. Yes.
Show a big S there. Okay, go ahead.
That super self is who we really are. And when we manifest out of the ego, we manifest what the ego believes and sees. The ego believes it's not enough. So we manifest not enoughness. The ego believes that there's something wrong with it. So we manifest experiences that tell us there's something wrong with us. The ego believes in lack, struggle, and sinfulness. So we manifest struggle, lack, and that which would cause us to believe ourselves to be sinful.
Right.
So
go ahead. And I've known some extremely wealthy individuals who have manifested that wealth out of ego. And again, this is not a judgment. This is just an observation that again, it comes from a lot of fear.
Yes.
It comes from the fears of growing up, maybe not having enough. And then when you have the money, then they are fearful of losing it. Yes. So that's the manifestation from ego. That's what I was just thinking of when you were talking about that.
Absolutely. A Course in Miracles tells us that the ego is insane. And let's do an extreme yet clearly observable example of this.
All right.
Let's look at the ego of someone who just became a trillionaire, yet engineered the destruction of a government agency providing food to people who are now dying of starvation. So let's juxtapose those two for a second. This person just became a trillionaire.
Right.
But they engineered the destruction of a government agency that was keeping people from starving and dying. One person has more than everyone else on the planet, yet decided to cause others to starve and die. So, was this person, despite their wealth, did they create that wealth out of, let's call it ego or a need perhaps to compensate for some other feeling of darkness or not enoughness? I don't know. I'm not a judge. But let's look at another example. Let's look at a pop star. And once again, I don't judge, I just observe. Let's look at a pop star who had everything: infinite wealth, seemingly infinite wealth, shocking beauty, and talent unrivaled, yet destroyed herself because of a sense, I'm not a judge, but a sense perhaps of not enoughness or darkness from within. So even though these people present as wealthy, as accomplished, as brilliant, their false ego, an aspect of their false ego may be saying, I'm not enough, there's not enough, there's something wrong with me, I don't deserve it, I must draw punishment to myself. And that's what the false ego does.
Right. And I'm thinking, again, money and wealth in and of itself is neutral from my viewpoint. It's something that, and I'm thinking of another, and I'll just go ahead and name her, Taylor Swift. Here you have someone, again, who has not one but $2 billion.
Yes.
Who went ahead and took care of individuals in her entourage, who went ahead and took care of the truck drivers, the people that went ahead and took that massive stage set that she had. She went ahead and, again, she lovingly financially compensated them very generously. So, and she's been known for her charitable activities and continues to, again, to give from that place of love. And so, again, money in and of itself is neutral.
Yes.
So, and yeah. So my question is here. So how does this false self, or what we're calling the ego, how does that block our prosperity?
The ego, and let's use the examples that we just talked about. These people were extremely successful, yet not prosperous, because let's look at the pop star that I mentioned, and everybody probably can figure out that I'm talking about Whitney Houston. She was wealthy, but not prosperous because there was something within her self-destructive. Let's look at the other person that I was talking about, Elon Musk. Wealthy beyond measure, wealthier than anyone else on the planet, yet not but yet observably not prosperous, because anyone who observes any of this person's actions, including the extreme action of causing starving people to die despite his infinite wealth, would understand that there is something within this person that is not vibrating with love.
Right.
So the ego self believes itself to be not enough and has destructive tendencies. Whereas the highest self, the God self, the one self united with our Creator, has productive tendencies, as you so adroitly pointed out when you mentioned Taylor Swift and how her wealth was used in ways loving instead of ways unloving.
Right. So again, so the whole idea of again, that you may
Yes.
be physically prosperous, but
or physically wealthy but not prosperous.
Right. And also mentally and spiritually bankrupt. Is that
Yes.
yes?
Yes, exactly, exactly. So prosperity is more than wealth and money. Prosperity actually begins. And one of the ways that I tend to describe prosperity is all the ways that love can be made manifest in your life.
Okay.
So certain people may have a great deal of wealth, but you may ask yourself, how is love manifesting in their lives? And if they have self destructive tendencies or tendencies that destroy others, that love is not manifesting in their lives to the fullest degree possible. So they may be wealthy, but not prosperous because love is not able to manifest in their lives.
If anyone has any questions here, we would love to take them. If you just go ahead and put them in the comments, we would, Reverend Jim would really love to answer them this evening. And the one question I'm going to pose to our guest this evening is, in what way do you feel blocked in your prosperity? So what kind of thoughts are coming up around blockage? If you, again, this evening, go ahead and put that in the comments, and myself and Reverend Jim, we will comment about that. Okay, so what is this? You talked about, but what is this higher self or super self?
This higher self or this super self is the part of you that is God. It is not connected to God. It is not adjacent to God. It is not aligned with God. It is God. It is the light within you that is a part of God, that has never been disconnected from God and has never been anything but God. We have covered over this light that is our God selves by the ego, in the same way that an actor or an actress covers over their persona to portray something or someone else. But just like Barbara Streisand played Fanny whatever in Funny Girl, she was still Barbara with the nose, right?
Right.
So we may be in this lifetime, which is a drop in the bucket on our soul's eternal journey. We may be playing a role in order that our soul may grow and heal, but this is not who we truly are. We are truly the light of God made manifest and an aspect of God. So this higher self or this God self or this one self united with our Creator has all of the qualities of God, all of the energies of God, and all of the capabilities of God. In Christianity, they say we were made in God's image. In New Thought, we say something quite similar. We are reflections, extensions, and expressions of the God light from which we have never been separated.
I think that you tapped into my sermon today because I talked about living in the light, and I talked about
Yes.
the whole idea of the summer solstice,
Yes.
which really encourages us symbolically to really live full on.
Yes.
And that individuals sometimes will get the hell scared out of them
Mm-hmm.
because you are living from your light. They
Yes.
may not like you.
Yes.
Can you live with that? Can you understand that not everyone is going to like you, but when you come from a place of the light, when you
Yes.
come from a place of your inner essence, is that
Yes.
prosperity abounds when you do that, rather than, again, individuals, again, who get scared of your light and they
Yes.
get like family members,
Yes. Yes.
friends,
Yes.
they're the ones that pour cold water on your idea. How dare you go back to grad school when you're 57 years old?
Right. Yes.
How
Exactly.
how dare you go back for your doctorate at 62? How
Yes.
dare you do all that? Well,
Yes.
it's because I'm living from my essence, and that again that scares individuals And that because what happens is, I think, is that when you live from your light, that bothers somebody else, because then they realize that they could live from their light. There's something within them that dings on and says, oh, now they may not admit it to you, but again, when we live from our authentic selves, when we live in that light, when we live from full on summer solstice light, what happens is that we change the world.
Absolutely.
By doing that. So how do we experience this this super self, this higher self? How can we experience that more in our daily lives?
We can experience it more in our daily lives by integrating it into our daily spiritual practice. Each time we meditate, it's like getting a dose of God, a dose of immortality, a dose of grace, a dose of healing, a dose of upliftment that raises our vibratory rate. And each time we do that, we not only expand our experience of ourselves as God and the joy and peace and power and wisdom and insights of God, but we also expand our capacity to draw even more of God. And gently, gradually, through repetition, trust, and grace, the part of us that is God gets downloaded into our programming, into our cellular structure, and into our energy field. And the part of us that is ego is diminished, and diminishes kicking and screaming, but is diminished nonetheless until we live in the light of our God selves, as you mentioned, versus living in the light of our ego selves. Our God selves have no fear of what others think, because our God selves don't get anything from others. And what I mean by that is our ego selves have often become dependent on affirmation from outside of us. And if someone doesn't like us, our ego self feels like it's starving or drowning. But our God self gets what it needs from the infinite source, because it realizes it is a part of the infinite source. It is not apart from it. And it is tapped into that ever expanding flow. So it doesn't require affirmation from outside of itself, from other egos. And so the other people and their reactions don't matter, for they are not the source of the God self's joy or peace or well-being.
And we have a question here.
Okay.
G, the healing journey, 2266.
Yes.
How can you explain how egos separate us from God, and what precipitates that event of separation? Great question.
Wonderful question. What has precipitated that separation, that sense of separation, because it's not real, has been described spiritually in many texts, including the Right Use of Will books that are channeled, as a Big Bang. Whereas Rocco Errico, who studied under Lamsa of the Lamsa Bible and the Lamsa translation, who was Syrian, he went and he reverse engineered the Bible into its original language. And it said God, it didn't say in the beginning God created heaven and earth in its original tongue of Aramaic. It said God, Godded, God. And the Right Use of Will books and many other channeled texts mention that same phenomena, like the Big Bang that we know in science as the Big Bang Theory. And they mention it as an ecstatic expansion of God, not dissimilar from an ecstatic explosion of ecstasy that is orgasmic. And so God godded God. God exploded in ecstasy and cloned itself 1 billion times in order to expand its ecstasy. And we then misunderstood ourselves, forgetting that we were individual particles of God's orgasmic expansion, and instead believed that we were separate from God and separate from each other, banished from the Garden of Eden instead of being a part of God's expansion of the Garden of Eden. And this basic misunderstanding caused us to believe in separation and to act out of separation. So the earth was then formed, as I call it, a theater in the round, where we as eternal beings could come and put on a costume. I'm going to put on a costume that is most reflective of the misunderstandings that I must heal. So I'm going to put on a costume of a person who would likely feel unloved by society, who would likely feel unseen by society, who would likely feel banished from the good that society would offer. Because this is what I believe is my punishment, because I believe myself to be separate. So let me put on this costume. Let me then see an outpicturing of my false idea so that I could choose to heal it. Because when we come in as this character, there is still a part of us that remembers that we are loved. There is still a part of us that remembers that we are perfect, whole, and complete.
Thank God.
There is still a part of us that knows that something's not right.
Yes.
And that something that's not right is not something not right with us. That something that is not right is something not right with this picture, because that part of us knows and remembers that we are one with God. And that part of us that knows and remembers that we are one with God then is guided to come forward and seek its healing. And in doing so, we heal the false idea of separation, because it forces us to remember and call out for the people, the experiences, and the light that would remind us of our oneness with God and bring us home to that sense of oneness.
So can we still, though, manifest things in our lives from ego? And the reason I ask that is because, again, we are of that divine nature, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
So, and I always use myself because,
Yes.
I think I'm my own best example. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been times that I've manifested things and they didn't make me happy.
Right.
Because again, what I was doing was I was coming from a place of ego and of struggle.
Yes.
And then when I arrived at that goal, since I am divine, whether I like it or not, then I go, is this all that there is?
Brenda,
You know, I mean,
yes.
I have the nice house, I have the nice car, I have the beautiful wife with 2 kids.
Yes.
I have the 6 to 7 figure job. I have all of that. And then I don't have a sense of me. Talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, everybody is already a master and everybody is already manifesting. However, we are often manifesting from that place of miseducation and manifesting from the ego. The ego says, I'm not enough. But if I have the 6-figure job, the 2 children, the house with a white picket fence, the master's degree, and the right zip code, then I will be enough. But once the ego gets all of that, it hasn't done anything to assuage that inner guilt, that inner shame, that inner inadequacy. Because nothing outside of us will assuage that inner guilt, that inner shame, that inner sense of inadequacy. Our salvation, there's a lesson in A Course in Miracles, lesson 95, 96. My salvation comes from my one self, united with my creator, from our God self, from our higher self, from our super self, from our master self. That part of us knows of our salvation. That part of us knows of our enoughness. So as you said, we can do all these things and wear what is supposedly the right costume that is rewarded by our society and still feel empty, because that will not offer us salvation from pain and suffering. Only our highest self at one with God And its wisdom, its power, its sense of security, its sense of peace, and its perspective will offer us that sense of security. So a whole lot of people, let's call it mismanifest due to miseducation. They have been miseducated into believing these outer things will give them prosperity and peace. And because they have been miseducated, they mismanifest based on that miseducation. And so now we are re-educating ourselves so we can manifest from our highest selves in truth.
And we'll talk more about that. If you have a question for myself and Reverend Jim, please go ahead and put that in the comments. We will try to get to them here as we can, as we have broadcast time this evening. But why don't we take a break, and then we'll be back. This is Miracle of Prosperity here on your New Thought Media Network. We'll be right back.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Now you can become an internationally certified workshop leader and life coach in Louise Hay's philosophy. This training was personally created and approved by Louise and is authorized by Hay House. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform theirs. You will join a worldwide community of thousands of workshop leaders and life coaches, all dedicated to offering Louise's work to change hearts and minds. Go to healyourlifetraining.com for all the information.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
And we are back here on the Miracle of Prosperity. We're back. You're on you're on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Michael Mangus. I'm usually producing and the silent one behind the magic, but this evening I'm helping out here, Reverend Jim Webb here. All right. So how do we cultivate this viewpoint of the super or higher self, and how does that attract prosperity? We talked about separation a little bit, but how do we acquire that viewpoint, and how can that prosper our lives?
That viewpoint is acquired through repetition. Of Course in Miracles mentions that any education is the result of repetition. We build the habit of being God in the same way that we unfortunately built the habit of feeling guilty and inadequate. So you build that habit through repeated experiences of yourself as God. When you go into meditation and you feel and experience yourself as energy that transcends your body, that transcendent energy is more expansive than your body, more creative than your body, more joyful than your body, freer than your body, more aligned with higher truth, more aligned with higher love, and you become a vessel or a channel for that. And the more you do it, the more you contain the love, the light, the energy, and the grace of God until you are walking around, let's call it, as a receptacle for the light of God, as a channel for the light of God. And that light carries with it guidance, insights, wisdom, courage, a sense of awareness, a sense of deservingness, because you're no longer operating from your guilty, unworthy, sinful self. And when you walk around, let's call that your signature scent. You know how people walk around with a signature scent and they smell like it no matter what? When you walk around with the signature scent, I am the holy, beloved, worthy, deserving, beloved of God. And I deserve good. I deserve joy. I deserve peace. I deserve ease. Just like your scent emanates from you,
yes,
your spiritual scent emanates from you as well. And your emanation determines your manifestation. So if you are emanating this energy, you will manifest a reflection of it. That's
absolutely
simply the law of inner cause and outer effect. So cultivating that energy from within helps you to manifest its reflection from without. And that comes with practice and repetition. Practice being God and you will be God.
Peace, be still.
Yes.
And know
Yes.
that I am God.
Yes. Now, Jane Batt had a question at 8:20.
I knew you were going to go there. Go ahead. All right.
I can't read it, so I need you to read it for me.
All right. Well, I can do that.
Okay.
All right. So Jane has a wonderful question. Can Senator Bernie Sanders' proposal that AI wealth, and I hope I'm getting that, can be shared with all Americans succeed? Can we manifest and allow this?
Yes.
I'm going to let you answer, and then I have a response.
Okay, sure. Let's explain this for our audience first. Bernie Sanders, just like in the oil-rich countries, they have sovereign wealth funds because they sold all this oil to the rest of the world over the last 50 years, and they are very wealthy countries. So they have sovereign wealth funds that basically ensure that nobody in their country is going to starve.
Right.
So we have AI. Can we establish the same sort of sovereign wealth fund? And that's what Bernie Sanders is suggesting. And so the question is, can we? And I'll explain. The whole journey collectively of our consciousness right now is a journey from the idea we are separate, some are better than others, and we are at war and in enmity, to the idea we are all one. Now, I'm not going to go off on too many detours, but we see how when we went to war with another country, it hurt us.
Yes.
I'm fond of using a saying, when you punch somebody else in the nose, it bloodies your beautiful shirt.
Absolutely.
We are all one. What we do to our brother, we do to ourselves, because this person is not our brother. This person is an aspect of ourselves, for we are all one. We are realizing this, and we are on this journey. Now, on this journey, we have had to see all the places and all the ways we believed ourselves to be separate and how destructive that has been. For when we see how destructive being separate has been, we are more likely to embrace the idea we are all one and act on it. A Course in Miracles, I believe it's lesson 38, says, we will not choose the truth until we exhaust every other alternative. Winston Churchill said that of Americans too, even before the Course in Miracles was written. He said, Americans will do the right thing, but they'll have to exhaust every other alternative first. And so we have been testing the other alternatives. We invaded another country and put ourselves in a recession. And this is only the latest in a series of experiences from which we are to learn that we are all one. And what we do to another, we do to ourselves. Or as Jesus said, what you do to the least of them, you do to me. And so, will we choose this? It is up to us. Can we influence this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because when you hold this vision, hold this idea, and most importantly, hold the truth, and this will be a stretch for some, I am one with everyone else, including one that might be the embodiment of ego. And you know who I'm talking about. When you are able to hold that truth of our oneness, even with the most repugnant reflections of an aspect of our inner consciousness, because remember, it's not going to show up outside of you unless there's a piece of it within you that you either need to examine, heal, or transform. Even if it's just an infinitesimal piece of you, you're seeing it outside of you that you might offer it healing. So the question is, can we embrace every of our brothers, not as the other, but as an aspect of ourselves? And can we be the channels for light, love, healing, and grace enough to fill those places that person triggers within us? And then the excess to be shared with others that they too would realize their oneness? If we can, then we will. If we can't, then we may have a couple of other iterations of how destructive separation can be before we choose unity.
And my comment to Jane's question is that I think the one thing is that we must do positive education to tell people that they are wealthy, and that it's not the amount of money when you give to them, because again, people can go through money pretty quickly.
Including lottery winners who got poor within years.
Well, and again, that's the reason why, again, to not only educate, not only provide, but also to educate individuals, not only about money, but again, a lot of this stuff, I think, is false programming, comes from a lack of self-esteem, lack of self-love.
Yes.
And so those are some of the things, again, that sense of separation, that's what will heal the planet, is when we recognize that when it's a part of, when my brother or sister is hurting, when my brother or sister is starving, when my brother or sister, again, that's just an extension of the one here.
Yes.
We have another question here.
We had one from Tierney about the disappearance of the universe.
I guess so. It says, I'm reading.
Yes.
I'm reading The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. Yeah, excellent classic book.
Yes.
When you speak to the importance of forgiveness being our salvation, now that's from the Course, isn't it?
Absolutely. The disappearance of the universe is an interpretation of one of the key aspects of the Course. A Course in Miracles lessons 122, 123, and 124 talk about how forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness offers everything I want. And that is at the crux of A Course in Miracles. However, the forgiveness that they talk about is not necessarily the forgiveness of you stepped on my toe and I forgive you. It is a differing and more expansive concept of forgiveness. There's a later lesson, let me understand forgiveness as it really is. And for the expanded idea of forgiveness is that forgiveness is seeing things through the eyes of your God self versus seeing things through the eyes of your ego. Your ego says, you hurt me because I didn't feel adequate and you triggered a sense of inadequacy. You hurt me because I felt vulnerable and you lorded your power over me. You hurt me because you didn't love me the way I needed to be loved by you. That's how the ego sees it, right? But the God self sees there was a cry for love, and that love, the source of that love is the God self. So I'm going to let you off the hook because this has nothing to do with you. Once you hurt me, you did your job. You can go away. But instead, that has triggered me to recognize a place within me that is not aware of love's presence.
Okay.
And instead of looking outside of me to you to provide that, and instead of holding a grievance against you because you didn't or couldn't, whether you be my parent, my lover, or my child, instead of holding that grievance against you, I'm going to look at that part of myself, recognize that God is the source, and my God self, my highest self, as I expand my vibration, opens to the love that that part of me has needed. And when I see and when I work with this process, I am not forgiving you because you're done. I am in an inner state of forgiveness. So this inner state of forgiveness, which is synonymous with oneness with God, which is synonymous with being in and of our higher selves, which is synonymous with what you said earlier, Reverend Michael, living in the light. This state of forgiveness is what we seek. And A Course in Miracles, and there's a lesson in A Course in Miracles, I will forgive, and this will go away. I will forgive, and the pain will go away. I will forgive, and the fear will go away. I will forgive, and the conflict will go away. In other words, when I'm in this state of forgiveness, that which I have judged to be unpleasant, that has triggered me or that has hurt me or that has had power over my well-being, will literally disappear because it has no relevance for me in my well-being. And so that's how we can use forgiveness as it really is, and to be in that state in order that the irritants of our egos will have less of an impact on our well-being. And I'm going to repeat that. The irritants of our egos that impact our well-being, that person who cut us off in traffic, that's an irritant of the ego, because the ego is scared it's going to get hurt in a car accident, or scared that it's not going to get to work on time and it's going to get fired and not going to make its money, right?
Right.
That's an irritant of the ego. But that will disappear when we cultivate a consciousness of forgiveness, which is synonymous with cultivating a consciousness of light.
Thank you. And just wanted to say hello to Isabel. Of course.
Yes.
She says, good and blessed abundance, Eve to all. Yes. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you for being a faithful watcher here.
Yes.
All right. Before we go into our plugs,
yes,
I would like to share with you and give everyone the opportunity here to give to the New Thought Media Network. We are in the process again of raising the money here during the summer here for all the projects that we have. We would really appreciate that you would prayerfully support us here. We love Jim, and that we provide for Jim in a cost-effective manner program assistance, but that doesn't cover all of our costs here. What we do is we have other individuals like yourself who really believe in programs like this to go ahead and to partner with us on a monthly basis. So if you could, we would really appreciate, again, your support here. And I don't think I have a banner here, but if you just go to ntmedia.org/donate, ntmedia.org/donate, there you can go ahead and, again, consider being a $25 a month giver. And again, what does my $25 mean? Your $25 means that we can buy the equipment that we need. Your $25 means that somebody else out there gets sees this program. Mm-hmm. That's what it means. It means you become a life changer through this network. ntmedia.org/donate. All right. Reverend Jim,
Yes.
What do you have going on?
Well, I have something going on, but I did some math. I was
Uh-oh.
prepared. Yeah, I did some math. Watch out. I was actually prepared to come on the show and let everybody know that my classes were sold out because they
Okay.
technically are, except that the positions that I sold earlier today that caused my classes to be sold out, one person is coming on Monday and one person is coming on Thursdays, which technically means I kind of have a half slot available for each.
Okay.
And so even though they're technically sold out, I'm going to let one other person in to my classes just because you watched this show. So the classes and the one that start the classes are classes in mastery. They're classes that will help us get to that highest self that is unflappable by what is happening to the world. And the Thursday night class is Spirit Speaks on Healing the Inner Child. I channel Spirit, and Spirit will talk to us collectively about ways that we can heal the inner child through experiences, through meditations, through healing sessions, and through prayers. And then Spirit will take your questions on specifically what you can do and support you individually on healing the inner child that otherwise is likely wrecking your life without you even realizing that that is the part of you saying no when God is saying yes to you. So that's on Thursday nights for 8 weeks as part of this summer mastery intensive. And on Monday nights, which actually begins tomorrow, is Beyond Channeling, Spiritual Transformation. I love the phrase you used earlier in the show, Reverend Michael, walking in the light.
Mm-hmm.
But this 8-week class gives us plenty of practice, plenty of exercises to walk in the light constantly, not just when we're channeling the light and channeling the information and wisdom of the light in meditation, but how we can take that same powerful energy and experience and let it be our truest and highest selves and walk the world as our truest and highest selves and thus manifest and experience the heaven on earth that was promised to us because it comes from our one self united with our Creator. And that's what we're going to do for 8 weeks beginning tomorrow night. And these 2 classes are 2 for the price of 1, 8 weeks for the price of 6 as a part of this summer intensive. I kind of really am sold out, but I have 1 slot that I'm going to make available because some people are coming on one night and another person is coming on another night. And so I'm going to make a slot available just because you decided to watch this show tonight.
If this is calling to you, you need to be on the phone now. Now, not in a few minutes, now. 202-253-6009. We're not, Jim and I are not kidding. These classes sell out like you would not believe. There's only 1 spot left.
And I had to engineer that because it's technically sold out.
That's doing some creative math here.
Right.
So again, if this class is calling you, you need to be on the phone now.
Yes, absolutely.
202-253-6009 or go to Reverend Jim Webb at msn.com.
Reverend Michael?
Yes.
I have one last thing to say.
Okay.
And that is that for some, everything we talked about tonight might seem like a big frog to swallow. And it is. Yeah. So how do you swallow a big frog that's jumping around? It's going to jump around in your throat. Little by little, bite by bite. Bite-sized chunks of meditation, bite-sized chunks of prayer, bite-sized chunks of daily spiritual practice that enables you to absorb the light of God little by little in ways that are not jarring to you. And that's how you swallow this big frog.
Yes. So now, now is the time. Today is the day of salvation. Now, right now, Again, don't even bother with the email. Don't even bother with the website. 202-253-6009. One slot left, and then it's done. If this is calling to you now, call now. His phone should be ringing. 202-253-6009. And again, these classes are life-changing, and they sell out quickly. He's not kidding. I've been his producer now, 3 or 4 years now?
Yes.
And this is exactly what happens. And then what happens in the day of the class, then you hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth, where individuals will call up Jim and say, I meant to sign up for the class, but I didn't. Can you still sign me up? And Jim has to lovingly say no, because that takes away from the rest of the people in the class. All right. So again, he limits the class for a reason. So again, 202-253-6009. Get that last slot. It's 2 for 1. You can do this. All right. All right. Really good.
Okay.
I'm going to let you have the last word here, Reverend Jim.
All right. Well, thank you, Reverend Michael, for coming on in a pinch and lending your presence, your wisdom, and your guidance. Our viewers, thank you as well. I want to thank our viewers for being with us tonight. You are already masters. Jesus said, know ye not that ye are gods? These things I do, ye shall do greater things. Yeah, with practice. So with your daily spiritual practice, the prosperity that is God's promise is yours. So thank you for being with me on this journey. Come back next week on Father's Day, and we're actually going to work with healing Father energy for prosperity. So good night for tonight, and thank you for being here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network. Good night.